I was saying but Rico from Street Schools, and y'all know how about once every couple of weeks we do like a big Jayden Daniels update, and we have a lot of things to talk about with Jayden Daniels. He won an ESPY award. We're going to talk about that. We have some combine controversy from that behind the scenes situation with Brian DeBoer, and some random analyst tried to basically go after Jayden Daniels and say that he failed it. Then everybody came to Jayden Daniels' rescue. We're going to talk about that. We talked about Jayden Daniels throwing to Amon St. Brown couple of weeks ago, but now we have an actual clip of him doing it. I'm gonna show y'all that. But most importantly, apparently Jayden Daniels was compared to Anthony Edwards, and y'all know if anybody loves that compliment the most, and probably the Washington Commanders fan base, it's me. But we're gonna dive into all of that and more. But before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Still working on those rookie film sessions. Can't wait for training camp to start up, because y'all know I got y'all covered every single day that the media has access. Super excited to get into the full swing of training camp. The next thing you'll know, we'll be in preseason. Next thing you know, we'll be in the regular season with the new look Washington Commanders. I'm super excited, but without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's start with the Anthony Edwards comparison. So apparently Jayden Daniels is supposed to have a similar impact as Anthony Edwards had on the Timberwolves. And this is coming from Louis Riddick, but we're going off of the article from Essentially Sports by Abhinav Prakash. I hope that's how you pronounce that name. I hope I did the best attempt that I could there. But yeah, man, so starting with the article, it says some people believe that signing Jayden Daniels has made the Commanders a playoff-ready team. That's interesting off rip. I mean, some people are very high, and it's crazy too, because a lot of the praise that I'm seeing, hype that's building for Jayden Daniels before he's ever thrown a single pass at the NFL level yet, is coming from outside the organization. Inside the organization, they're trying to keep things quiet. Like Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, and all these people, when they're talking about him, maybe the players hype him up every now and then. Terry McLaurin loves this guy. He talks about him in a different light compared to any other quarterback that's ever thrown a pass to him since he's been drafted to the Burgundy and Gold. Like, the players may hype him up some, but the majority of the hype that's coming from Jayden Daniels is coming from outside of the organization. They've been hyping him up even more than I have, and I wanted us to take him second overall. It's coming from NFL scouts, it's coming from NFL coaches. I've talked about this in other videos, and it's just amazing that there's this much hype around him. But you probably could say the most pessimistic people when it comes to Jayden Daniels are probably within our fan base, but I can't be mad at it because we have a history bringing in new quarterbacks and it not working out. So I understand. I just truly believe that Jayden Daniels will be different. But continuing with the article, per Louis Riddick, a former Commanders executive, Daniels draws parallels to Anthony Edwards, who has carried the Minnesota Timberwolves to the postseason for the past 2 years. Edwards' leadership comes second to none, and that's what people expect of Jayden Daniels. I see my dog Anthony Edwards out there saying he's the #1 option at Team USA, and then that scrimmage, I watched the full thing beginning to end versus Canada. He literally looked like the #1 option. He came off the bench, but he led the team in scoring. He was highly efficient. I think he only missed like 2 shots or something like that. Highlights. Come on, dog. Stop playing with my ball. I know this is a Jayden Daniels video, but I got to take my time to talk my stuff with Anthony Edwards because I tried to tell y'all since he went to UGA. But either way, continuing with the article, John Comm and Louis Riddick had a few things to say about Anthony Edwards' authenticity and how they see the same things in Jayden Daniels. Riddick described Edwards as having a, quote, authentic nature and an authentic youthful quality, unquote, which has led the Timberwolves to become the talk of the town. Just to let y'all know too, before we dive even further, this is all the way back in May 28th. I was just saving this for a good time to bring it up. I feel like now was a good time, and I just feel like this kind of like went over a lot of people's heads. A lot of people didn't notice that this was said. I feel like it wasn't talked about enough all the way back May 28th. But either way, continuing with the article, Riddick added how Edwards is an unapologetically himself. Not in a controversial way, but in a manner that presents him in the best light. Riddick said, quote, Anthony Edwards has it. And that's why the Minnesota Timberwolves are the team that everybody wants to watch right now. And Jayden Daniels has that. And I believe that as we go through the summer and you guys get into the training camp and he starts playing games, it's going to ignite that whole area of the country in a way that hasn't been ignited before, unquote. He went on to compare Daniels with RG3, Patrick Ramsey, and Jason Campbell, and implied that Daniels surpasses these quarterbacks. I hope so. I really hope so. And then the article goes on to say similarities between Jayden Daniels and Anthony Edwards. They said Quinn has given Daniels a chance to adjust himself to the team. The quarterback who participated in the OTAs just threw a couple of passes without any team elements. But over the coming days, Daniels would be subjected to 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 pressure to see how he's doing. And then Quinn said, quote, I think what jumps not only off the field, but tape here, which you guys don't see in the meeting room, is just the competitive nature and learning and the command that he has already. So that's something that speaks to his work ethic, said Dan Quinn. The LSU Tigers ended their season 10-3 in the Southeastern Conference and ranked third in the SEC West in the last season, just behind Alabama and Ole Miss. Luke McCaffrey, CMC's brother, who has now been drafted to the Commanders in the third round as their new wide receiver, had praises to sing of Jayden Daniels. He said, quote, he's a stud. I know he's one heck of a quarterback and a lot of fun to play with from a personality standpoint. A lot of people are talking about not only just what he does on the field, like talent-wise, but also his personality and how infectious it is. I've had a blast in these 24 hours with him. He's just fun to be around. He's a good energy. This energy is very similar, unquote. And this energy that people speak of is similar to what Anthony Edwards brings to the table of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mike Conley said of Anthony Edwards, quote, he sets a confidence level for a lot of guys. He could have had 40 points, and he's talking about the plays Nikhil made, Rudy made, or anybody else. That's pretty cool. He feels that way about us, and he's celebrating our success, unquote. And then a recent Star Tribune article mentioned how Anthony Edwards brings everyone together by making fun of himself and others. And the Timberwolves locker room chemistry has never been better, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, who Anthony Edwards had to go against in that Canada team, and I love the fact that after the game they were laughing together and stuff like that. But Nikhil Alexander-Walker has never laughed so hard. And then the quote came out and said from Nikhil Alexander, he's going to make fun of himself. He's going to make fun of everybody. And hey, man, that's that Atlanta in him. Jayden Daniels brings the same attitude to the team, and he already expressed his intentions to prove something to his opponents. Chemistry is very important to a team's success, and both Daniels and Edwards have proved time and again that their relationship with their team holds the utmost importance. And y'all know I'm a big fan of this. Y'all know I'm the biggest Anthony Edwards fan, doing it at the very least in the Commanders fan base. I've been trying to tell y'all, he's my favorite athlete of all time already. I mean, growing up, I used to love Chad Johnson, of course. I'm always the trash talker. So like Chad Johnson, Cam Newton, of course, but I mean, that's unfair. He went to the same high school as me, same Westlake High School, same alma mater, all of that type of stuff. So Cam Newton was obvious, but even beyond the obvious and the attachment to him, even just the personality, the trash talking, and the whole run he had with hitting them folks in the end zone and stuff like that. So that's just always been my type of person. And then Anthony Edwards came out, and he's the most relatable athlete I've ever seen. I feel like I already know him. He literally sounds like my whole friend group, my cousins, my everything. It's just crazy seeing somebody that literally acts like us at a professional level, because people come from Atlanta all of the time, but they don't like bring their Atlanta with them. So I just love Anthony Edwards on so many levels. So to see somebody, not even me, I didn't even think about this, but they're saying that Jayden Daniels should potentially bring a similar impact to the Washington Commanders that Anthony Edwards brought to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And look how they've ascended in just the past couple of years of him being there. They would not be to the point where they are without him. And I think that Jayden Daniels can have a similar impact. Will Jayden Daniels be as relatable as Anthony Edwards is to me personally? Maybe not specifically, but I've seen little moments where sometimes he kind of, he's pretty media trained. Like he knows, like when the cameras are in front of him, to, be somewhat even and vanilla, just kind of keep it cool, mature, and all of that type of stuff. But at times you see his personality leak out, like who he truly is. Sometimes you see him on the practice field dancing in between reps and drills and things like that. And even the Keyshawn Johnson interview, a lot of people hated it. I loved it. I felt like that was a great interview with Jayden Daniels. I love the way that their personalities went back and forth and things like that. You saw some glimpses of his true personality in there as well. You saw the Brian Daboll clip from the behind the scenes, from all of this footage that we're getting from the Giants Hard Knock, from his interview with the Giants at the Combine. And they asked him, what do you do if you see cover one in this situation? They set up the whole play. He said, throw a touchdown. I love that type of confidence. So maybe he may not be 100% Anthony Edwards, but I feel like he's going to be enough of an Anthony Edwards level impact to where we do ascend as a franchise, and we're one of those elite teams for many years to come. I'm super excited. Again, if there's anybody in this Commanders fan base that is happy to hear Jayden Daniels compared to Anthony Edwards, it's probably nobody more than me. But it's not just Louis Riddick or just a couple of his teammates taking notice. There's like a whole thread. Shouts out to Jay Daniels MVP for bringing up a lot of the compliments that he's been getting from a lot of the veterans on the team. We're talking Jonathan Allen, Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota, and Bobby Wagner. Again, shouts out to Jay Daniels MVP. I've mentioned a lot of these quotes before, but he has it all in one tweet that he tweeted out as recently as May 26th. Jonathan Allen said, quote, "He always beats me here. I think that's pretty cool. He stays late. He does everything you want out of your number 2 overall pick," unquote. And at a certain point, when everybody kept saying that somehow Jayden Daniels is beating them to the facilities, I mean, they get there like 6:30 a.m. He looks like he's already been there for an hour. Eventually, when Jayden Daniels had a press conference, they asked him, "How early are you getting here?" He said he's been getting to practice as early as 5:45 a.m. And Luke McCaffrey has been there with them the entire time as well, showing up that early. So they're trying to get that chemistry going. And that's why somebody compared Jayden Daniels and Luke McCaffrey to potentially what CJ Stroud and Tank Dell did last year, doing the same thing, being the first in the facility, building that chemistry very early on. Then you have Zach Ertz. He really cares about this thing. He wants to be as good as he can possibly be. He's working his butt off. And remember, Zach Ertz basically talked about how every time Cliff Kingsbury comes to a practice and brings new elements to the offense, like, okay, y'all have this down pack. How about we try this? Let's try to get further and further into the playbook and to really learn how to install this offense. And Zach Ertz said that he noticed that Jayden Daniels was always ahead. Like, it wasn't like he ever saw anything for the first time. It looked like he's already been a part of Cliff Kingsbury's offense for beyond just this being his first year type of thing. He already looks like a veteran. He already knows all of the calls, the route concepts, and things like that. He's good to go. He doesn't look like a rookie. Then Marcus Mariota said, quote, "I think he really moves well, throws the ball well, and for a young guy that's coming in, seems to really like the command of the offense, and I think that's important," unquote. And just mind you, Jayden Daniels got all of the starting quarterback reps, I think every single snap possible in mandatory minicamps. Voluntary OTAs, he had to kind of work his way up. He was going back and forth between starting and the backups, him and Marcus Mariota. But then once we got to mandatory minicamp, Jayden Daniels was straight up the starter. And it's amazing because it's not just the talent, it's not just the arm talent, it's not just the legs, it's not just him being a youthful guy. It's even like the veteran nuance things where he's going through his progressions faster than Marcus Mariota. When pressure's on him, he knows who to find and who to hit as like the safety blanket guy. He's going through his reads, finds the fourth option, and gets the ball to him better and more consistently than Marcus Mariota and the other quarterbacks do in this QB room. I'm just playing out Marcus Mariota because Marcus Mariota is the several year veteran. He's what, like 8 seasons in or something like that, somewhere around there. I'm just throwing out a random number, but it's amazing that Jayden Daniels is not only like more naturally talented than him, you could argue, but the fact that he's already ahead of him and a lot of the veteran parts of being a quarterback is amazing. And then lastly, Bobby Wagner, quote, "That's the thing you look for as a vet, somebody that wants it. He's definitely that guy," unquote. And that's coming from Bobby Wagner himself. And you also have a lot of praise from Austin Eckler talking about Jayden Daniels' leadership. So this is not just they're trying to start up a narrative or like making it seem like Jayden Daniels is the guy just to kind of hype him up for the media to run with or anything like that. These people truly believe this. But we're going to move on from that. Again, we talked like a week or two ago about Jayden Daniels throwing to Amon St. Brown. He revealed that in an Instagram live with Rashad White, I believe it was. And so now if you wanted to actually see the clip, here it is. Now Jayden Daniels is only in a really small part of this 27-second clip, so if you want to skip past it, you can. But somewhere in the middle, you see Jayden Daniels throwing a nice ball to Amon St. Brown, who's not even that open. It was just a good ball and he caught it and everything like that. So Jayden Daniels out here working with the best of the best. Amon St. Brown is fresh off of his new big-time contract with the Lions, which is crazy because Brandon Sosna, who's now here with the Washington Commanders helping us out, he was the one that helped sign Amon St. Brown to that great contract, mutually beneficial. He's getting big money, and the Lions don't have to pay much for it. And then we went and got him from the Lions to come do the same thing for us. So there's a lot of connections there. I don't think necessarily that Jayden Daniels hit up Brandon Sosna and were like, let me get Amon St. Brown's number. I'm pretty sure that's more of just a Cali thing going on over there. That's why Jayden Daniels has been working out with his old friend, childhood friend, and CJ Stroud, and even Bryce Young as well at some point during the summer break in between mandatory minicamp leading up to training camp. He's been working with a lot of people. He's been working with high school recruits, guys that are in college, NFL guys like Amon St. Brown. Jayden Daniels is like, hey, whoever's working, I'm there. When the offense, a lot of the offensive players were working together at Oregon to celebrate Marcus Mariota and go look at his Heisman Trophy and everything that he has there. And the Heisman Trophy was beautiful. Hey, UGA, we got to step it up, man. We got to honor our players that well. Jayden Daniels even said that about him. He was like, LSU ain't do this for me. So, hey, man, shouts out to Oregon for that. But, hey, that's just hey, Dan Lannon, I love what I'm seeing what you doing over there. Y'all are technically the enemies right now because we having a lot of recruiting battles. But, hey, shouts out to Dan Lannon leaving Georgia to go do his thing at Oregon, and he's holding it down. They're about to have a top 3, top 5 recruiting class this upcoming, this 2025 class coming in. So, salute to Oregon. My brother's an Oregon fan as well, and I used to love that jersey when I was little. So, shouts out to Oregon. But, it's healthy competition. Either way, outside of that rant, again, even when the offensive players are going to Oregon, Jayden Daniels is there. Anybody that's working out in Cali, especially Southern Cali, Jayden Daniels is there, and I love it. Now, next up, the next topic is that Jayden Daniels won an ESPYs award for Best Men's Collegiate Athlete. Now, he won the Heisman, so it kind of feels like he was like an automatic pick for that, but not necessarily. Somebody could have picked Caleb Williams. They could have picked somebody else. You just never know, because that's just best college athlete. It could have been a sophomore who's not even draft eligible. I believe that could be a thing. Either way, he won it, and I like the outfit that he had on. I like the suit. I like the chains under the suit and everything like that. Him taking pictures with his mom, as you can see on the screen right now, and everybody was so proud of him. I was trying to watch the live stream, but I couldn't find anywhere to watch it. I couldn't get it anywhere. But even Irvin Magic Johnson took time out of his day to tweet at Jayden Daniels, his franchise quarterback for the NFL team that he's a part owner of. So it seems like it's automatic because he does tweet a lot anyway, but it's still nice to see him praise him. He said, congratulations to our new Commanders quarterback, Jayden Daniels, for winning the ESPYs award for Best Men's Collegiate Athlete. You looked sharp on the red carpet last night. And then he did the congratulations hand clap emoji, and then he shouted out. He added Jayden Daniels himself. And then you also have Jayden Daniels hanging out with Draymond Green after the ESPYs and things like that. He was chilling. He was hanging out with a lot of people. He just seems to be a guy that a lot of people like to hang around. Now, moving on to the next topic. Redskins legendary quarterback Joe Theismann said that he believes that Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels should not play in the preseason. He said, quote, "Why would you put your starting quarterback out there? They would tear Dan Quinn apart if Jayden Daniels got hurt. So where's your risk reward," unquote. And this is an interesting topic. I would love to hear y'all opinions in the comment section right now. Do you feel like Jayden Daniels should or should not play in the preseason? Is it not worth it and things like that? Now, my personal opinion, of course, like worst case scenario, knock on wood or something like that. Of course, if he would get hurt, people would be very upset with Dan Quinn. But at the same time, man, you got to get your reps in. I remember even when we brought over Alex Smith as the most safe, high floor veteran quarterback. He even played in the preseason, especially his first year coming here. You got to gain chemistry with the guys. Now, granted, we are going to have 2 joint practices. They're going to practice a lot during training camp, but that preseason is just a different level, man. Going from college to the NFL training camp to preseason to NFL regular season. I feel like those are kind of the steps of like adapting, evolving and things like that, developing as a player. And I feel like the preseason will help him out a lot, especially when it comes to with this offensive line situation. Now, maybe offensive line plays into this with him just not necessarily assuming that Jayden Daniels would get hurt in the preseason, but just thinking that it's such a high risk, like there's such a high chance of it happening. I'm assuming that if we had a great offensive line, like a certified offensive line, Joe Theismann may not feel this way about Jayden Daniels playing in the preseason. But since we do have a huge question at left tackle, we have 3 new pieces on the offensive line. I love Tyler Biadasz, but he is a new starting center for us. We still got to gain that chemistry. New starting center, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, new everything. So, of course, there's going to be a couple of wrinkles in the process and things like that. It's not going to be perfect. And Joe Theismann is basically worried about the fact that if anybody slips up at any moment, that could be a Jayden Daniels injury right there. And so he's just saying it's not worth it. But, again, we have 3 new pieces. The whole center all the way to the left tackle, center, left guard, left tackle are all new starters from last season, going from the 2023 season to the 2024 2024 season. You have Samuel Cosme at right guard. You have Andrew Wiley at right tackle, which a lot of us aren't like extremely confident in anyway. But then you have Tyler Biotish, a top 10 center, a really good center. But again, that's still going to take some time to build that chemistry. And I think preseason is going to help with that a lot. The joint practices, this training camp, that's going to be huge for us. Then Nick Allegretti potentially at left guard. That's a new guy there. And he was a backup the whole time for the Kansas City Chiefs until there was an injury. And he had to even play through his own injury in the Super Bowl. And he played well. But we still haven't seen him like fully start an entire season. So we can't just overlook the fact that maybe there's still some questions at left guard. Even though when in doubt, worst case scenario, you throw Chris Paul out there. He's not perfect, but he's pretty good. Then you have the left tackle situation, which is probably the scariest part of this entire team going into this regular season right now. With all of the elite edge rushers that we have to play on the schedule, especially early on, we need to figure that out. I love Brandon Coleman's ceiling, but is he ready to play week 1? And then Cornelius Lucas, decent pass protector, not good at run blocking. Trent Scott, very good run blocker, but not a good pass protector at all. Either way, Jayden Daniels is in trouble because even Cornelius Lucas being a pretty decent pass protector, and that's even somewhat of a stretch because I think he allowed like 3 sacks at the end of the season, at the last game of the season against the Dallas Cowboys to end the season, which was just crazy. But even with him as a decent pass protector, when he's on the field, you're more than likely not running the ball, and then defenses are going to know that. This guy's not a good run blocker. He's not very mobile. He can't get to the next level. He can't pull, so they just know, okay, let me pin my ears back and go after the quarterback because it's not likely that they're running the ball, and even if they do, they're probably not going to run it Cornelius Lucas's way. So even with him, with his pass protection being the thing that he is kind of good at, like the reason that he's on the field, that still puts Jayden Daniels at jeopardy because teams know, oh, Cornelius Lucas on the field, they're more than likely passing the ball. We should expect a 3 or 5 step drop from Jayden Daniels, him going through his progressions, because that's what Cornelius Lucas would be on the field for more than likely. So I understand where Joe Theismann is coming from to an extent, but I mean, maybe it's just a fan of me that just can't wait to see Jayden Daniels in action, and maybe they will limit him, and hopefully, best case scenario, you know how sometimes in the preseason, if the offense is just clicking, and we just go out there and score a touchdown on the first drive that Jayden Daniels is out there, but they'll probably just pull him immediately and just be like, okay, we've seen enough. So that's best case scenario. We'll see. But I don't think you just pull him and don't allow him to play in the preseason at all. Again, even Alex Smith played in the preseason. All of these veteran quarterbacks that we've brought in, their first year here, they were guaranteed to play in the preseason. And then, lastly, before we get up out of here, we have that whole Jayden Daniels combine controversy and all of that type of stuff. So there was that clip with him that I was really excited about. I loved his answer when they drew up the play, had the play ready, and it was like cover 1. What do you do? Where do you throw the ball? He said, I'm just going to throw for a touchdown. I love the answer. But then you have at @JoeA_NFL. He said, this is some real bad board work by Jayden Daniels. Forgot the play, missed the read, and clearly overwhelmed. Awful pro day, awful interviews, exceedingly old, and it all showed up on tape. How did this guy get drafted so high? So based off of that hate there, of course, a lot of people replied. Quincy Avery even called them out, and like their Twitter thread was funny because then Quincy Avery even told him, all right, so how about you give me your answer? If Jayden Daniels' answer is so wrong, what was your answer? And then the Joe guy that was hating on Jayden Daniels gave his answer, and it wasn't a good answer, and Quincy Avery even pointed it out. And then even the Joe A guy, once Quincy Avery pointed it out, was like, yeah, that's my bad, and things like that. It's just crazy, and people were even pulling up how his pre-draft rankings going into 2023 was Will Levis 1, Bryce Young 2, CJ Stroud tied for second, technically third, and Anthony Richardson 4th. And I mean, just people were just on his head, but most notably Kirk Vinkirk, who's been a huge fan of Jayden Daniels throughout the whole draft process, going all the way back to, I believe, late 2023. I think he had Jayden Daniels as his #1 quarterback in the draft, even above Caleb Williams, and he stayed true to that and even provide evidence as to why he felt that way all the way through the draft process. And then after we drafted him, he even had like a whole 30-40 minute video, or even longer than that maybe, with Baker Mayfield breaking down why Jayden Daniels will eventually lead the Commanders to a Super Bowl. And so this is a guy that's been a huge supporter of Jayden Daniels and his skill set, his talent, his leadership, and things like that. And he quote tweeted the tweet and said, somehow this clown ends up back on my timeline. So I guess this Joe A guy has a history of doing this to quarterbacks. For those of you that don't know football, it's not just random words and remembering flashcards. Jayden will do just fine remembering things when they actually have meaning, and he knows what the protection call means, the concept means, where the receivers line up in specific formations, etc. Remembering random S-word coaches say while they speak too fast on purpose and laugh about it is irrelevant anyways. I love to see these random fans that S-word on players try to remember 10 to 15 random words that I pull out of my own A-word in just 6 seconds and then be able to run it back to me. And I'm completely with Kirk Benkert, perfectly 100% here. I've been with them the whole process. Jayden Daniels may not have been above Caleb Williams in my QB rankings, but I definitely prefer Jayden Daniels over Drake May. That was just me personally, but I would have been happy with either of the three. But Jayden Daniels was like, it was really Caleb Williams 1A, Jayden Daniels 1B, but I could easily see the argument that Kirk Benkert was making that Jayden Daniels could end up being the best quarterback from this draft class. I can easily see it any day of the week. And again, this guy's been consistent with his praise with Jayden Daniels, and I'm right with him 100%. I think Jayden Daniels is going to be great for us, and I do think this Joe A guy just picked a random day to just hate on Jayden Daniels, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what the catalyst was this for, what made him decide to do that, but shouts out to Kirk Benkert because, again, he's been on the Jayden Daniels wave this entire time, even way before the Commanders even drafted him. So, hey, man, shouts out to him. Make sure you go check out his YouTube channel because he does a lot of great quarterback breakdown work, and again, this is a big Jayden Daniels fan, so if you want to hear somebody break down Jayden Daniels and talk about how much they love him, even do film work on him, go check him out. Not the Joe A guy, but the Kirk Benkert guy. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. I really appreciate you for making it this far in the video. While you're at it, make sure you do not leave this video without leaving a like, and of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. The Jayden Daniels, the Anthony Edwards comparison. Do you feel like he will have that level of an impact on the Washington Commanders? It seems like he's already starting to. I'm really excited. Let me know how you feel about that. Also, let me know how you feel about him throwing to Amon St. Brown and looking for any work that he can get. As long as it's in Southern Cali, Jayden Daniels will work with you. Again, he's even been working with high school recruits. It was like a 3-star running back recruit he was throwing to. I don't know his relation to the guy, but I mean, that boy Jayden Daniels is not playing. Anywhere he can get work, he's going to get it. Let me know how you feel about him winning the ESPY award. Let me know how you feel about the Joe Theismann thing, especially. Where do you feel like Jayden Daniels should not play in the preseason? Do you think it's not worth the risk? And of course, let me know how you feel about the whole Brian DeBall interview combine controversy drama that was going on, that was started by Joe A_NFL, and how Kirk Benkert came to defend Jayden Daniels. Let me know how you feel about all of that. And of course, again, do not leave this video without leaving a like. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.